Washington, this is VOA News. United States vetoes Palestinian statehood resolution at UN. Bodies recovered in search for missing AirAsia jet. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. As expected, the United States vetoed a UN Security Council draft resolution on Palestinian statehood, which demanded Israeli withdrawal from the occupied territories. The draft Tuesday fell short of the 9 votes needed for passage, but a no vote by the United States, which has veto power, means it would have failed anyway. U.S. Ambassador Samantha Power called the Palestinian draft one-sided and not a constructive step toward a two-state solution. The draft would have given Israel a 2017 deadline to pull out of the West Bank and Gaza back to the pre-1967 war borders. East Jerusalem would be the new Palestinian capital. It would also have given Israel and the Palestinians 1 year to reach a peace agreement. The Somali government says al-Shabaab's intelligence chief was killed in a U.S. airstrike near the town of Sakal. Abdi Shakur Talil was killed along with 2 others in Monday's strike. U.S. officials say they do not believe there were any civilian casualties. Heavy gunfire near the presidential palace in the capital of the small West African nation of Gambia is raising questions about an attempted coup, while President Yahya Jammeh is out of the country. Residents and diplomats say armed attackers began shooting early Tuesday in Banjul, the capital, but the situation appeared calm by midday. Initial reports said soldiers linked to the Presidential Guard were involved in the fighting. The French news agency reports 3 suspects were killed in the violence, including the alleged ringleader. This is VOA News. Indonesia's President Joko Widodo says military ships are on their way to a debris field in the Java Sea for what he calls a massive operation today, after rescuers located several bodies and wreckage believed to be from a missing AirAsia flight. The first confirmed pieces of the plane were found floating about 16 kilometers off the coast of Borneo Island on Tuesday. The passenger jet crashed during a storm Sunday while on a flight from the Indonesian city of Surabaya to Singapore. Ron Corbin reports.
Indonesian aircraft spotted the debris in the Java Sea. The shallowness, between 40 to 50 meters deep, is expected to aid efforts to recover the aircraft and vital communications data, including the voice recorder. The flight was operated by the Indonesian affiliate of AirAsia, one of the most successful low-cost operators. Altogether, the group has over 170 aircraft amid the fast-growing aviation sector in Asia. The tragedy is the third in 2014 for a Southeast Asian carrier. Ron Corbin for VOA News, Bangkok, Thailand.
The death toll on a Greek ferry that burned in the Adriatic Sea rose to 13 Tuesday, and officials fear there are more bodies on board. Italian prosecutor Giuseppe Volpe, who is leading a criminal investigation into the disaster, says at least 3 stowaways are among the survivors. He says that is incontrovertible evidence that illegal migrants were being hidden on the boat. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was detained Tuesday by police shortly after he joined up with several thousand protesters near Red Square and the Kremlin in defiance of his sentence. Earlier in the day, Navalny and his brother Oleg were found guilty by a Russian court of fraud and both given 3.5 years in prison. But there was a surprise, as VOA's Daniel Scharf explains.
A court in Moscow announced the verdict against Alexei and Oleg Navalny after the court date was abruptly stepped up by 2 weeks ahead of a planned protest by their supporters. The judge found the Navalny brothers guilty of embezzling funds from a Russian subsidiary of a French cosmetics company. But while Alexei, a prominent critic of President Vladimir Putin, was given a suspended sentence, his brother Oleg was ordered to serve 3.5 years in prison. Both were ordered to pay nearly $9,000 in fines. It was not immediately clear why the judge gave a harsher sentence to Oleg than to Alexei, but critics decried it as a blatant attempt to pressure the opposition leader through his family. Daniel Scharf, VOA News, Moscow.
President Vladimir Putin asked Russian lawmakers to revoke the right they had granted for Russian forces to intervene in Ukraine. President Putin issued the request to the upper house of Parliament Tuesday. I'm Ray Kouguell in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.